There's a quiet war being fought right now, not with soldiers, but with spreadsheets and shipping containers. It's a war for the materials that power our entire world, and for decades, Japan has been on the losing side. As a titan of technology, Japan's factories need a constant supply of special minerals to build everything from electric cars to the phone in your pocket. The problem? The gatekeeper for almost all of these materials is their biggest rival, China. With China controlling over 70% of critical mineral processing, Japan's economy has been living on a knife edge. But a secret plan is in motion. Japan has found a new powerful ally in Canada, a nation with a treasure chest of untapped resources. This new partnership is more than just a trade deal. It's a bold escape plan designed to break the chains of dependency and redraw the map of global power. But to understand why Japan is making this risky bet, you first have to see just how tight the leash really was. To really get why this Canada-Japan deal is such a big deal, you have to understand the sheer scale of China's dominance. It's not just that they have a lot of these minerals, it's that they've spent decades mastering the entire process, from the mine to the final product. Let's look at the hard numbers. The International Energy Agency, a group that tracks this stuff, says China produces 3/4 of all lithium-ion batteries on the planet. But the really scary part is the middle step, the processing. This is the hardest, most expensive part of the whole chain. China controls 70% of the world's production of cathodes and a mind-boggling 85% of anodes, the key parts of a battery. So even though Japan is a major player that makes about 14% of the world's cathodes, they have to buy the processed ingredients from China first. If China decides to turn off the tap, Japan's multi-billion-dollar EV and electronics industries would grind to a halt overnight. And this problem is only getting worse. About 70% of all new battery factories planned between now and 2030 are being built in China. They're cornering the market on new battery types too, like the LFP batteries that are getting super popular. China controls an estimated 98% of the materials for those. Just in 2024, Japan imported over $2.6 billion worth of electric batteries straight from China. It's a dangerous dependency. But this isn't just a theory. Japan has already felt the pain of China using this power as a weapon. Let's rewind to 2010. A small argument over some islands in the sea between Japan and China blew up into a massive international incident. In response, Beijing did something that no one thought they would. They completely stopped all shipments of rare earth elements to Japan. At the time, Japan was getting almost 90% of these vital materials from China. The effect was immediate panic. Companies in the auto and tech sectors were scrambling. It was a clear message. China was willing to use its control over resources to get what it wanted politically. This event was a brutal wake-up call. The Japanese government immediately threw over $1 billion at the problem to find new suppliers, invest in recycling, and build a national stockpile. They've had some success, cutting their reliance on China from 90% down to about 60%. But let's be real. Relying on your biggest rival for over half of your most important materials is still an incredibly risky position to be in. This deep-rooted fear is what's driving Japan's new strategy. A strategy so desperate it involves mining the bottom of the ocean. Japan's plan isn't to completely cut off ties with China. That would be impossible. Instead, they call it de-risking. The idea is to carefully identify the most dangerous weak spots in their supply chains and build alternatives, creating a plan B for their most critical industries. The best example of how serious they are is a crazy new project they're backing. Japan is getting ready to test mine for rare earth elements from mud on the deep seabed at depths of over 16,000 feet near a remote island. That's like trying to find a needle in a haystack at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. Think about it. This kind of project is incredibly expensive, technically unproven, and faces huge pushback from scientists who are worried about wrecking the ocean. A country would only try something this extreme if it felt all its other options were running out. It's a signal of pure desperation. And it's this desperation that created the perfect opening for an old friend to step in. A friend with a whole lot of land and a whole lot of what Japan needs. As Japan searched the globe for a reliable partner, one country stood out for a combination of reasons that no other nation could match. Canada's offer isn't just about its massive mineral wealth. It's about stability, trust, and a shared vision for the future. Canada is a natural resource powerhouse, holding a treasure trove of minerals crucial for the green energy revolution. The estimated value of key resources like lithium, cobalt, nickel, and graphite exceeds $300 billion. The nation possesses significant global reserves, ranking 6th for lithium and 7th for nickel. Canada is also a major producer and holds substantial reserves of graphite and cobalt. Crucially, its cobalt is an ethical byproduct of nickel and copper mining. However, simply possessing raw materials is not enough. The true challenge and opportunity lie in processing these resources, the next vital piece of the supply chain where Canada is making a huge bet. Having a mountain of minerals is one thing. Turning it into a secure, reliable supply chain for a partner like Japan is a whole different ballgame. This is where the Canada-Japan partnership moves from a simple trade idea to a full-blown strategic alliance, built on official agreements and a shared goal. The foundation of this whole escape route was laid in September 2023. That's when officials from Canada and Japan signed something called a Memorandum of Cooperation, or MOC, on battery supply chains. Now, that sounds boring, but trust me, it's a game changer. This wasn't just a friendly handshake. It was a formal pledge to work together on everything from mining to processing for all the key minerals: lithium, nickel, cobalt, graphite, you name it. They even created a special working group to help Japanese companies connect directly with Canadian mining projects, cutting out the middlemen and securing supply right from the source. What makes this so powerful is that it's backed by real government action. Canada has launched a huge Indo-Pacific strategy, pouring over $2 billion into building stronger ties in Asia. This isn't just about making money. It's about Canada positioning itself as a reliable democratic partner in a region dominated by uncertainty. Canada and Japan aren't trying to do this alone. They are key members of a bigger team called the Minerals Security Partnership, or MSP. Think of it as a club of democratic nations, including the United States, Australia, and several European countries, all working together to break China's stranglehold on these critical resources. The goal of the MSP is to fund and support mining and processing projects in member countries, creating a global network of trusted suppliers. By working together, they can share the massive costs and risks of building these new supply chains. It makes the whole plan much more realistic. For Japan, this is huge. Partnering with Canada doesn't just give them access to Canadian minerals. It plugs them into an entire alliance of friendly nations all committed to the same goal. It's the ultimate de-risking strategy. But this grand plan has a secret weapon, a vast and frozen frontier that holds some of Canada's biggest and most shocking mineral secrets. Next up, the Arctic, and you will not believe what's hiding under the ice. But even with all this potential, there are some serious reality checks we need to talk about before declaring victory. This escape route is not going to be a walk in the park. Let's be honest, building an entirely new supply chain from scratch to compete with a system that China spent 30 years perfecting is a monumental task. The road ahead for Canada and Japan is filled with roadblocks and reality checks that could slow down or even derail the whole plan. The biggest hurdle is time. Getting a new mine up and running in Canada is not a quick process. From the first discovery of a mineral deposit to the day the first truckload of ore leaves the site can easily take 10 to 15 years. It involves lengthy environmental assessments, consultations with local communities, and a complex web of permits and regulations. While these rules are important for making sure mining is done responsibly, they represent a major challenge when you're trying to move fast to counter a strategic rival. China, on the other hand, can greenlight and build new facilities with breathtaking speed. Then there's the money. We are talking about tens of billions of dollars in investment needed to develop the mines, build the roads, and construct the complex processing plants that can turn raw ore into battery-grade materials. While Canada and Japan are committed, securing that level of private investment for long-term projects with no immediate payoff is a tough sell. Another very real threat is that China could use its market power to crush this new competition before it even gets started. Because China controls so much of the supply and processing, it can influence global prices. Imagine a new Canadian lithium mine is about to open. China could suddenly flood the market with cheap lithium, causing the price to crash and making the new Canadian mine unprofitable. They could do this with any of the critical minerals. It's a powerful tool to discourage investment in rival projects and maintain their dominance. Overcoming these challenges will require more than just a handshake agreement. It will demand unwavering commitment, clever government policies that fast-track important projects, and a willingness from both Canada and Japan to play the long game. This partnership is not a quick fix. It's a generational project. But the potential payoff, securing Japan's economic future and creating a more stable and reliable world for all democratic nations, makes it a gamble they believe is worth taking. It's a quiet revolution that is already changing the balance of power in the 21st century tech race. But is this a wise move for global stability or a dangerous provocation? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.